Yeah, let's see. So we're officially in the prologue time zone right here, where we're, officially going to start at 11, but let me pull up this, let's see if this works because we might use it in the future. It's called Mentimeter. If anyone has used this before, you can go to menti.com. I've just got a couple questions here. And then you type in this code 16385975. And we can kind of get a poll of who's here today and whether or not they went to engage or they did not. Menti.com.
Okay, and what's the code?
1638.
Because the presenter hasn't changed.
5975.
Oh. 595.
Yeah.
Mine work.
So that, did you attend or not?
Oh,
Can you
the
submit?
first one.
Look at it, it shows us live.
Okay, then, yeah.
Oh,
So far we've got about a 50-50 about who's here and online. Of course, this doesn't help for the recording because you can't do it live, but. So more people were not at Engage than are here, which is good because this will be a great overview for you. So if I go to the next slide. Next question is, would you attend a future Claris Engage in the winter, in the summer, or no? They used to always be. Yeah.
Definitely winter, that was much better. No.
I don't know. I could actually go for either, but the question
That
is,
wasn't one of the choices.
no, it wasn't. Yeah, I should have put another choice. But if it was in the summer, then they'd have to wait a year and a half to have one because they wouldn't have one this summer. So it's kind of, I don't know. I didn't mind Austin in the winter.
Yeah, I'd say the location and, weather was nice for timing, but it's just scheduling it was a challenge for having school age
Is that
children.
mic on?
I think it is.
Just want to make sure. Yeah. There's a sign back there with the
Right behind it.
password. Okay, so,
The only downside was that it wasn't cold enough in Minnesota to make it.
oh yeah, we had really nice weather in Minnesota up until today. We got some snow.
Mhm.
So being in Austin was about the same, or it was a little bit warmer. But so I'm going to go ahead and into the presentation. This is where we're broadcasting from today in Minnesota. This is what it looks like on a very nice day in the summer. And this is what it looks like today.
Mhm.
We got a little bit more snow and overnight than we have, well, a lot more than we have all season this year. So, but we're Minnesotans. This doesn't stop us. We just go ahead and trudge through it, and all the roads are pretty much clear already, so we're good. So today we're going to talk about Claris Engage, and I want to engage people that have been there to also join in and give their thoughts or ideas along the way, or questions from people who were not there. It was in Austin, Texas this year for the first time at the Apple campus. Apple has a large presence in Austin, the second largest compared to Cupertino in California. And here's a map. It's about 20, where we were staying was about 20 minutes from the airport. So that was very convenient, and it's an area called the Domain. And this is kind of yuppie, hipster type of area of town where there's a lot of apartments and a lot of mall and lots of shopping, and you've got your Louis Vuitton and all kinds of the Apple store is there, but several different hotels that people stayed in. There wasn't one hotel just for the conference because but there were about 650 people that attended the conference. And then it was about a 15, 20-minute drive to either the Apple campus, the first campus, or the Apple Campus 2, which is a little bit newer. This is the first day, the keynote and the after party were at the original Apple campus there. I think that they have capacity at that campus for about 6,000 employees. And between the two of them or total, they could have 15,000 employees. So it's a big investment. And they also do have manufacturing facilities. I don't think they're in either of the places that we went, but they manufacture the Tower Mac or the Mac Pro in Austin, I think. So
That's the only US made Mac, I think.
yeah, and that was one of the things that I thought was a little strange about the conference is that we're at an Apple campus, but nobody talked about anything about what went on there, or it was just the facility and it was cool, and it was like showing the fact that Apple, it's a FileMaker. Claris is a Apple subsidiary. This is where we stayed. Was the Residence Inn, Marriott Residence Inn, very nice. Had a kitchen. We didn't use that at all in the rooms, and a kind of a Lumenfire-esque entry lobby here. It's blue and fire. Yeah, right. And then the first day, Sean and Mike Hackett and I went to this place called the Museum of Illusions. It was right in the domain area, which was kind of cool. A little expensive side. It was $26 to get in, but it was a nice way to spend like an hour of seeing some cool optical illusions and getting videos of them.
The budget for mirrors for this place must be incredible.
Or Windows.
This one was really freaky, this vortex tunnel. You walk across here and you swear the tunnel was, the bridge was swaying, and it was really hard to keep your balance. But it was stationary. Yeah, I was wondering who was going to win the poker game. So that was kind of cool. Just something to do in Austin. Of course, we went out to Velvet Tacos, which was a pretty excellent fusion taco place. And first night we went to Topgolf and visited with our friends from Cross IT. And in the past, they had been our booth buddies. We had a booth in the trade show area, and they always were, like, for 3 years running, they were right next to us. So I know those guys pretty well. So then the first day of the conference, we went to the Apple campus, and they had signage there showing the Claris Engage. And it's really pretty. It's nice and new. And this was actually an event that went on for Platinum Partners before the actual event started. So it's just a get together. And this is a drone footage of what the campus looks like. This area over here is where we could park in this ramp, and the whole conference was in this part of the building here, which is a conference center that's built for the Apple campus. And so they have 4 floors of conference rooms and larger training rooms, and the largest room seats a couple hundred, I believe, in that area. But the first night was show drive in here to this. This is where the majority of the conference was. The other building was just for the keynote and for the cafe or the after party at night. So that had seating for about that was about 400 maybe in the
Yeah,
main,
that's what they
and they
said.
had an overflow of 200 in another room because there were like 650 people at the total at the conference. And it was, I heard they had a little bit of sound quality or troubles that first night during the keynote, but it was all recorded. So in the alternate room. And then this was a place where they had shuttles going back and forth between that domain area and dropping people off. So if you didn't have a car, you could take this bus back and forth from the hotels in that area. So you walk in and you see the Apple logo immediately, and they were checking you with security. This was the big entrance, and they gave away T-shirts, and the back was "Together we build incredible things." I think was really kind of a theme of the conference was that they're valuing the development community, and they know that Claris needs developers in order to deliver a full product, because they don't build anything; they just provide the platform. And so I've got some keynote slides here. I'm just going to go through. I selected a few that were more interesting or a kind of summary. One big thing was that Claris has had 100 quarters of consecutive profitability. That's not something a lot of companies can say in the tech industry, that they've been consistently profitable for a lot of years. 100 quarters is a while. These were some of the sessions that were done actually by Claris employees, Ronnie Rios, Angela Chen, and Bridget Lamb, talking about Claris Studio, the State of the Unit by Clay Mackel and Lucy Chen, and then Louis de la Parra from Claris talking about Connect. So they had a lot of people from Claris that were actually giving presentations, as well as other people giving presentations at the conference. So they talked about growing the platform and the importance of Claris being an Apple company. That relationship is being solidified and advertised. They showed a couple example videos of success stories, one from a mobile tire shop. Another one was from Lamborghini. It was a
Bugatti.
It was a Lamborghini and Bugatti dealer.
Yeah, it was a high-end cars using FileMaker as a sales tool, like to bring people through a funnel and have a customized car experience. That was a really good video. When it comes out, I think it really shows a great example of using FileMaker today in a good way. So they talked about problem solvers being like people like us that are experts and evangelists for the platform, and that Claris needs to help us prove the capabilities of FileMaker, the Claris platform, overcome objections, and make the case. So that's a really important message, that they're going to help us do that to grow the platform. And their job, Claris, is to remove friction in using the platform. So they shared a marketing plan and showing this Kanban board of prioritized backlog, things that are already that are coming and then in progress and completed. So they're being much more open about things that are on this plan and sharing that with us. And so there's some slides around that. And then the importance of the three big products that make up the Claris platform: Claris FileMaker, Claris Connect, and Claris Studio. And this was the first time that we saw the new S logo for Claris Studio, which fits in with the F and the C for FileMaker and Connect. So that was kind of interesting. And then the clarification of where Claris Connect fits in the platform: enhanced logging and debugging, better security, sits under FileMaker and Studio, and it has repeatable interactions. And then Claris Studio being the way to utilize on the platform, publishing to the web, having responsive layouts, showing external data, and having dashboards. So using the platform, you can now hit all these things, and that there will be coming soon with new future licensing, a way to use Claris Connect and Claris Studio for anyone who has an active license of Claris FileMaker. So that's really expanding, a way to expand and grow the whole tool set of the platform with the existing installed base. And their North Stars, you know, is only one North Star, but they have 5. And the 5 are their points that they want to make sure that they're adhering to as they build the future, that there's no friction in using the tools, that there's one identity everywhere. You're not logging into Claris Studio with a different ID as what you use in FileMaker. The data is everywhere, and honoring the investment that people have already made, and then the new being unconstrained by the old. So you're able to use, and then this was some more detail in those slides of removing pricing and packaging constraints for the friction. And so you'll be able to watch the keynote. And so I'm not going to go through all of these, but when they release it, I think it'll be in the next couple of weeks for the people who have, you know, paid the $99. Maybe the keynote will be by itself, I don't know. But if you've paid the $99 to actually purchase the conference videos, then you'll get all these, all the sessions. I think that they're planning on releasing all of the sessions without the $99 fee sometime in April. So if you want them now, you have to pay, and if you want them in the future, they will eventually be available. So I'm just going to go through these. So they really were wanting to talk about 3 dimensions of FileMaker. You've got the data in the middle, and internal facing solutions, which would be primarily FileMaker, and then external facing solutions, which would be primarily Claris Studio. In the cloud, up to several thousand users, and then Claris Connect being the 3rd dimension of connecting to these external data sources, systems, and applications. So a full Claris platform that allows you to do all these things. One of the things that they've made a ton of changes in Claris Studio recently. These will be being released shortly. Nothing was officially released at the conference. I think they were saying, you know, like some things will be coming out a couple of weeks after the conference. And of course, FileMaker, the cadence of their agile releases is quarterly, or much faster than it ever has been in the past. But all views in Studio can now be public, spreadsheets and Kanbans and calendars and stuff. So that really opens up Claris Studio to be doing a lot more than it used to, which was primarily being a form generator. There was a session on that, which is a deep dive into the Claris Studio new things. And there's a lot that I didn't get to see because there were like, I don't know how many sessions going on at the same time. So I kind of took the AI track and went to several of the AI sessions. I don't know, Sean, if did you or anyone else go to this Claris Studio? Oh, yeah, was it good?
It was really excellent, hands-on, and with our accounts, and they had us. Sorry. Thank you. They had us sign up for about 3 different accounts, Box and MailChimp and others in advance of the conference. And then we were doing a hands-on conference where we were actually logging in, creating the connects, going back to, during the session, I was able to create a link from our company's MailChimp to Claris Studio, to FileMaker to automatically create a new record as soon as something was added in MailChimp. It would go to FileMaker, create the record, and bring over the information. Yeah, through Connect. It was very nice. So great deal. And then it would also send a message to Slack that a new person had signed onto our MailChimp. So it was very, did in one session. It was, they proved their point with it. It was really great. Yeah.
So that would be one to watch and get a feeling of what the other tools are beyond FileMaker that are part of the platform. The product plan was also shared with a backlog in progress and done. There's just showing some highlighted things on here, but the idea is that now they're going to be much more open about how they share what they're working on. And let's see. I think I have a link to that. Maybe it's at the end. There's a link to a place on the Claris website where you can actually vote on the things that you that are on their backlog, what things you want them to do. So they've never had that before. What things are more important to the users. So I went to the AI sessions and answered some of these questions about AI with FileMaker. And there was basically all of the things that you do with AI with FileMaker, you can pretty much do today because they're AI calls utilizing JSON and insert from URL. It's really, and there also are some the large language models that are built in open source or whatever that you can utilize on the local machine without having to go out to an API as well. So there will be more capabilities coming, but all of this was showing with what's in the product today. So the unified Claris platform is FileMaker, Claris Connect, and Claris Studio together. And then finally, they're talking about over 1 million users, 1,400 partners in the world. Those would be Claris business partners, and then 100 profitable quarters and one platform. And again, being an Apple company. Now, a long time ago, they tried to distance themselves from Apple because Apple didn't have a stronghold in the business world or in the consumer world at the time. But now it's a very good thing to be associated with Apple. So, and then this was the party in the evening. Build the Future was the theme of the conference. And you can see this was in that Apple building. They had a really nice event center. I mean, it was a great area to be able to talk with people. They had some really good food. I think it was like a division of Wolfgang Puck that was catering, and it was one of the nicer after parties that I think that because I actually could talk to people and hear people. It wasn't the music wasn't that loud. There was
At times it was.
yeah, depending on where you were, because there, but you could go to quieter areas, and it was just I thought it was a good space for it. In the morning, we stopped at a Kolachki place to get some breakfast on the way, but they had actually some pretty good breakfast items there as well. Each morning on the Wednesday and Thursday. So here's Ronnie Rios did a session on AI. That was the first one in the morning, talking about insert from URL and using Claris Connect to do some things as well. I was intrigued by creating prompts for the AI is really where a lot of your work goes to, and you see. Here's the prompt, and look at all the constraints and things that are listed here in order to get the AI to actually give you useful things. It's all about what you put into it and how you tell it to give you information. It's amazing. Like this one, you're telling the AI to actually return a JSON string to you that you can potentially then use. You can parse that information out. So like the demo here was doing a search command in plain language. And so you can somebody just type in, I'm looking for sales information or whatever. And then the AI parses that all out, returns it back to FileMaker in JSON, and then you have a script that goes through and does the search based on that information. So pretty interesting. And there are a ton of other examples like that really were real world examples of how you could utilize AI. Not in just generative text, but so there were 3 other sessions, one by Ernest Coe, one by Chris Ippolite, and then Joris Arts, that all were on AI. So if you wanted to, you could watch, I think, a total of 4 sessions on that. These were some of the smaller rooms. Well, actually, one of the larger rooms and showing most of these sessions seemed like they were standing room only. You could get in, and they had previously, you had to sign up because they were trying to put the sessions into the largest rooms that would have been most popular. So stop me along the way here if you have any questions. This was also, this is Chris Ippolite's session, and he has released an AI version of a link where you can interact with this material online. So I think the idea, he put all of his slides and all of his text from this session into a large language model system or whatever, and you can just ask questions. You can say, give me a summary or whatever, and the AI is going to give you back all the information about his session. So it's kind of just a dog fooding it. And then this was specifically a ChatGPT session, but I thought that was really interesting how you can utilize that. So in January, I did a 10 minutes on AI at the last CPUG meeting, and this is kind of the summary. More is going to be built into FileMaker soon. Definitely get these videos and watch them if you're interested. And then you can check out our blog and demo. The demo that we have out there will also be a great thing for, I mean, there will be other demos that are coming from Claris Engage as well. But you could get started with this today and just put in your own prompts and start playing around. One thing that was a struggle for me, I don't know if it was a struggle for a lot of other people, was the conference and event manager, or the app. I kept getting logged out of it every single time I had to do authentication was an issue. I'd get this infinite loop saying authorizing, and so I would say that was one of the fails, was this actual app. It could have been better. No, it was an Apple event. It was a website. So I don't know what was behind it. I think they had to use it, but if this is what they use at WWDC, I'm surprised, because it was not the best, but I don't think so. I don't think it was FileMaker at all.
No,
but
yeah, the URL was events.apple.com.
Yeah, and there were just things like you had to click into it in order to see who is the actual speaker, and then when you click back, it just wasn't the best. I mean, it looked nice, but not as functional as it could have been. The other funny thing was, somebody mentioned this was the signage for the 4 different floors, which was in numerical order was great, but it should have been reversed, because the 4th level was on the top. So if you're going up the 1st level, and because there were 4 different levels for the conference, it really was a little bit more disjointed as where is that, or like not running into people as much. You could go up the stairs or whatever. That was a little bit harder than it's been sometimes at resorts in the past. You got to flip it on. Yeah.
Plus, they had the lunch rooms all over the place.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to connect and meet friends there in that
Right.
way.
Yeah. They had 2 different, they had to spread out the lunches because they didn't have one place to get it. And so some people were at 11:30, some people were at 12. at 12 o'clock or whatever. So that it was just like grab your lunchbox and go wherever you could find a place, which I think was just constrained by how they had the center. This was the largest room, the one that was about 200, and Ferrari leather on the seats there. So this was pretty ritzy, but it was a nice room. But once that room was full, it's like there wasn't really easy way to get into it, but you didn't feel so bad because you can watch the videos afterwards. You weren't missing completely, just missing it at that point. So a lot of conference rooms were set aside for, like this one was a Pause Community Lounge, and people were making puzzles in there, and there was another. I didn't go and hang out in some of these places. Other people might be more interested in doing those kind of calm things or whatever. It's like I thought the conference was pretty calm as it was, and I really enjoyed not being in a booth the entire time and just being able to go around and talk to people and rekindle friendships and such, because this was the first time that we were back as a community, other than like Pause on Air and a couple other things over the last couple of years, which were smaller, but an official Claris event for 5 years, because 2019 in Orlando was the last DevCon when they announced the name change to Claris, and then everyone, because of COVID, had been canceled or was moved to online since then. So this is really a great opportunity to be back in person. This was some of the booths. Again, they didn't have a trade show floor, so the booths were just kind of in the lobby areas outside of the elevator. And Claris had their own little place here where they were showing, they had some lightning talks, one of them, for example, was about the way you can move forward in being a Claris developer or a FileMaker developer, and what are the career options, and other ones. They had for the first time actual stickers for FileMaker and Connect and Studio, which I put on my laptop. So that was kind of cool. The US, Texas, and Apple. The flags flying. That was pretty cool too. So this is some slides again of more of the booths that they had there. This is a picture of me with Keith LaRochelle from Productive Computing. We have a ton in common. He plays trumpet at all. So we talked a lot about music and computers and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Apple Consultants Network had a booth there. She looks really excited about that booth, but so we're Apple Consultants Network. I think this is the first time they ever had a booth at a Claris conference, but I think it shows that the connection between Claris and Apple is something they want to foster, and it would be super great if they were recommending FileMaker more or the platform more at various Apple stores for people. One of the things I didn't mention that was talked about in the keynote was this idea of that they're now have 4,000, with their partnership with Apple, they have 4,000 accounts or 4,000 schools that are now using Claris Connect. And they plan in this year to move that up to another 12,000, I think they said, active accounts. So this is kind of the way that they're working with Apple to move into at least the education market now, where they have thousands of accounts or clients that are utilizing a Claris product, which is Claris Connect. And then they can go to them and start talking to them about Studio, talking to them about FileMaker, and seeing, where are the opportunities that they could potentially use that. Then after they're working in education, then they will put some more focus towards small, medium businesses as well. So there's a couple other products that were there. This Devon is something new, a DevOps tool for FileMaker. I didn't get a chance to look into it deeply, but could be something potentially to look at. Here's what that room looked like, the largest conference room there during one of the sessions. And here's that same lobby area with people. So, and then here was a smaller, one of the smaller rooms in one of the sessions there that was good. The interesting thing was that there was no ending to the conference. Like there wasn't a punctuated, usually at other conferences, there's a closing keynote and there's, they usually announce where the next event will be and when it's going to be and what city or whatever. It was just, you went to the last session and went home. Kind of anticlimactic, but I understand that there's logistics there that they didn't want to send everyone all over to that other campus and try and maybe it wasn't even available for an event like that, but it was different than it had been in the past. So, and then we went out, a bunch of people went to Rudy's Barbecue there, which is kind of fun place, and they had the capacity. They could have had a lot of people there from the conference. I mean, it was kind of open invitation. And then Sean and I visited this Holocron, which is a Star Wars toy store, right before we got on the plane. There's two of these in Texas, one in Dallas, and this is their secondary store. Just action figure after action figure and all kinds of, they got all the Star Wars Legos and stuff. So that was pretty cool. So we mixed in, I mean, the amount of fun things other than the conference that we did was really like probably 2% of the time that we were there, but it's more interesting to show. And here's that Claris backlog. If you click on that link here, it'll bring you to this Claris product backlog page. So you can click on the button here to like it or vote on it. Oops, I just voted on it. And they're tracking these, how many points they get from people, and I think it kept my login.
Yeah, you do.
You have to have a community profile. Yeah.
So probably the most valuable thing that I got out of it was getting Connor Brock to join FM Slug. He's the guy who was talking about backlog and getting feature requests in. And I told him, just go there and pay attention to the rants channel. Because that's the only channel that I have unmuted and whatever. Just to get an honest take from active developers in the community. So
Yeah. Well, we still have time. Those were all the slides that I had. So I mean, I really interested to hear from other people. What were your favorite sessions, or what did you learn?
Thanks.
This is
William Miller, High Power. Yeah, I went to also AI sessions like you did, Tim, and attended 3 of those. And they each gave a great perspective on AI. They each had their different nuance in terms of what was going on. And like you, I agree that the thing that really impressed me is that the real work goes into preparing that prompt for the AI. A lot of work and examples and explanation of what exactly you're looking for. So it's not a simple little Google search where you type in a question, you get a cute answer out. There's a lot of work to really put the AI to good use. And so that was very helpful. And then the other AI session that was helpful was Let's Chat right at the end on Thursday from George, because he just listed, I don't know, 6 to 8 different examples of ways you could use AI. Part of it being, development, part of it being content management, and a lot of other examples and how it would tie into FileMaker. So that was also quite helpful.
Yeah, cool. Well, I didn't show you This is what the name badges look like. They weren't backwards, but one thing that for the future, you got to print it on both sides because half the time it shows up the other way. So I wrote my name on the back because they flip around. But that's just good conference etiquette.
Do you guys have a sense for what the general reaction to the AI stuff was? Is everyone like, oh, kind of fun party trick, but I don't know that I'd use it? Or they genuinely think it was something that they needed to consider just because it's gotten so big so fast? Or what was the sort of vibe
I kind
regarding
of went
AI?
into it myself thinking, you know, am I going to use this? And came out on the other side going, wow, there's a lot here and a lot that I think could be applicable in our solutions today that, the biggest thing is the security. I think that you got to be really careful about, but, you don't want to be sending your business data out into the world through an API.
Yeah, it was good to see some, more practical implementations and the whole thing that Bill mentioned about, building the prompt to get useful data back, to put enough guardrails on it, tell it not to make up stuff, all these things. But all of that is stuff that we can add under the hood so that our users can just type in, show me every time Sally made a sales call in July of last year. And then, we add all the prompt stuff to it, get the JSON back, turn it into a FileMaker find request, and then give her what she was looking for. So she doesn't see all the extra stuff. But, so to the users, it ends up looking like magic. But,
Yeah.
for us, we can add enough on there. And, they also talked about ways to, limit its data set to just data that's in your solution. And there was a conference or a session by Wade Jew that showed some upcoming stuff with large language models, some functions that are script steps that are going to be built in an upcoming version that kind of help facilitate some of that. So I think that'll be really interesting.
Yeah. So I got definitely the view that it's not just the cliche. It's not just the, the hottest thing, but it is really something that could be very useful immediately as long as you apply it correctly.
I
Do
think
you
there are
know
sort of-
what
Go ahead.
AI platform are we using? I know, like you mentioned, ChatGPT. Do they have their own AI platform? Or
You can call any API that you want. So I mean,
also, there's not a particular one that they're trying to push towards.
no, a lot of the examples were open AI, but really you can just call any API that you like and send it the info.
They also mentioned some open source options that you can run on machine,
Right.
or, in your own server instance. So that takes care of some of the security concerns with sending your data out somewhere.
Yeah, there's a tool called LM Studio that I've set up that you can run local models. It needs to run on an M1 or higher. And then there's another one called GPT for All that you can, these are pretty straightforward to set up and run local models.
Yeah.
And then, you just use, you call them like anything else. So.
So
The question is,
Go ahead.
did Stephen Blackwell have anything to say about it? He stood up in several sessions and kind of gave his wisdom.
So I don't think I would call it data security of send it out. It's data, because it's not the security you're compromising because you're choosing to send stuff out if you send it to OpenAI or anthropomorphic. I would call it data
Confidentiality.
Yeah, there's a term it's not slipping me right now. Data confidentiality or yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's what data do you want to share with the public about your business potentially?
Yeah.
We've seen Joris do his AI presentation last year at .fmp in Berlin, and he was talking about, it's yes, it can be genuinely useful for your clients, but he was talking about using it inside the practice. He said it's roughly equivalent to having a junior developer. They can do useful work, but you got to check it and supervise it. And so he asked it to do stuff like make me some demo data for, this table structure. And it would, I need 500 records. And it would go and barf out 500 records. And that was handy. And he would
Right.
ask it to have a go at writing a script to duplicate a related found set. And, it would need some tweaking afterwards, but, it, did 80% of the work for him. And so he was actually advocating, FileMaker developers should absolutely be trying to find ways to use this within the practice because it is truly useful. And especially if you have a web viewer and you need some JavaScript or something like that, it's great at that kind of stuff.
Right. You can have it parse out data for you. It's like if you give it a whole bunch of a CSV or something or whatever and have it convert it to JSON so that, or convert out, there's just a lot of different ways that it's smart enough to do things that you might not think.
Yeah, you can also have it make synthetic data. Like I've used it to make like a bunch of customer reviews, generate customer reviews, put it in a CSV format, etc. And so you can use it generatively like that as well.
Right.
But one thing I thought it was most useful for, because I suck at this, is writing XSLT style sheets. So if I need to do an XML transformation and I need a style sheet, you can like give it, here's some sample XML. I need it to turn into that, and it will generate a XSLT style sheet for you. And so that's great that I don't have to fuss around with that for 2 days to try and figure something out. It'll just knock it right out.
Right.
Also, if I may add, Chris, during the the overall AI presentations, there was one, I think it was in Ronnie's session where the AI interaction was based on a document that the user would provide to the AI and then ask questions based on the document contents. And I think there was a presentation to that effect also earlier in the year in Rome. And I'm not sure that at that point FileMaker would necessarily be the way to interface with the AI. I'm sorry, with the AI, but it could open up some interesting doors if we think of something where we say, okay, I'll give the AI, my save as XML, and then I'll start asking questions. I would normally refer to analysis tools to do that. So perhaps the next time you bump into Vince Manano or Dave Ramsey, that's the kind of topic you could bring forward and see what they have to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vince is, well, he's going to talk at some meetups next month about what he's doing to integrate some of the capabilities that large LLMs or LLMs enable for him.
And Nick posted in there on a different subject, the link to this article, which has the video. I think this video is only a couple of minutes long. It might be worth watching. Let's see.
Contacted us for the issue of how they handle their offers and contracts. There are millions of possibilities how to create your own car, and this makes life not easy.
We're on a very, very fast platform. So where you need to be flexible, you need to react to customers' wishes very quickly, then you're really good on the Claris FileMaker platform.
A customer wants an offer as soon as they visit our dealerships, and they want a clear message. This is what you get and this is how much it costs.
they would talk to a customer about the configuration of his car, and then they would take Word and they would write something up in Word. And now our system will generate the offer immediately.
We do things that other people think are hard, nigh impossible, because we have Claris FileMaker as a tool set.
Our initial plan for building this app was that we would get a PDF from a foreign system where there was no other way to extract the data out of the foreign system than a PDF.
We were able to slice those PDFs in separate lines of text, and then doing an OCR over each of those lines, putting each of those lines into separate records in FileMaker.
And we put the parts we need into an offer. If something doesn't work the way they want it, we can just go into FileMaker, change it, and 10 minutes later, they've already got the new version.
We have here the email module that is collecting all the information the offer is generated on the server. The file on the server is then put in that container field. Now has generated my contract with all the clauses and legal information.
We asked the local management if they also want to have the system in place for their countries, and guess what? Everybody wanted it immediately.
We're still continuing on a process of improvement, but this improvement is not improvement on the initial task. It's about new tasks that have come along, new ideas they've had because they're using this platform now.
Whatever the customer throws at us, basically we can do it.
It's very quick, yeah. It's very fast and it's agile, and it makes things possible you won't expect.
So I thought that wasn't one of the best FileMaker advertisements I've seen coming out of Claris. Yeah, there've been some missteps in the past.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
And it was good. I actually had an opportunity to talk to directly with several people at Claris, including the marketing director, and encourage more things like this. And it's like Anne has been there about a year now, I believe, and starting to do some really good things. And so I think everyone left kind of encouraged and thinking the platform's on the right track. I thought the keynote messages of including developers and communicating much higher amount of information about what they're doing and allowing us to have input into it were like the right things to say. So I think there were a lot of successes from the conference. The community for sure. The sessions were good. They were unique. The keynote was kind of done Apple style. It's like with a lot of different people coming out and good messaging and stories. The after party was great. The fact that all the videos will be available to the community afterwards. The area of the conference, Austin, was good. It was easy to get around. And it's solidifying the relationship with Apple was important, I think, as well. So I think oh, go ahead. Oh, it won't show up on the screen here because it's an invisible window. What you're talking about right. Yeah. It's because it's displaying off of there. I can't do it. But yeah, I've looked through that. There was Heidi has some information in here. Any other questions or
You mentioned that there wasn't like a closing session and where they normally would announce like the kind of upcoming event or whatever. Was there any talk of that? Like, is this kind of the new standard for what an Engage is going to be, or is that all still up in the air? Did they even mention when the next one would be?
I don't know. No, they didn't. I mean, it was really silent about what the next one was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I asked Rosemary and she said they don't know yet, so.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing is the larger events that have been done in the past at a resort, they definitely have to be planning that a year and a half in advance, because they have to reserve the entire resort pretty much for a week or whatever. So, and there were in the past there were like 1,500 people. This was about 650. I could see them easily doing this again a year from now in the same format because they know how to do it and they've done it once. But I think it would sell out a lot faster because of what, this was kind of the test. I mean, it was like, oh, is this going to be good? And so it took a while to sell out, but they did eventually, up to a couple of weeks before. I think that if they announced this was going to happen again next February in the same place, people would be on it right away. They are also doing a lot more of these regional events, like some overseas in Europe and Italy and things. So that naturally will reduce the number of people that have to travel as far in order to have an event in person. But certainly the US one has always been the largest. So.
I put a couple MLAI oriented links in the chat too of Proofgeist OpenAI API call code and some information on the RAG, which is what they use to do the, look in documents.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to post this video and I'll post those links as well in a blog article after this. So thanks for that.
Yeah, that one interesting thing from Ronnie's session is he mentioned that these AI large language model things are not particularly good at math. They're really good at words. But then he gave an example of, told it, here's the Claris documentation for every function in FileMaker. Make me a function that does this, or write me a custom function that does this out of these, and then wrapping that in evaluate to get what you want. So like, don't ask it to do math because it doesn't do that well, but it can put together a calculation for you that can get your result.
Right. Yeah. So if you're looking for a calculation that might do a specific task, you can always look on Brian Dunning's site, which is kind of the library for all FileMaker custom functions. But you could ask the AI. The AI has cataloged a lot of that. I'm sure it's scraped it off, and so it can generate its own custom functions. But it also knows, how do you do that in JavaScript? And here's a guess at how it could be converted to Claris scripting or Claris functions. So.
Like if you did that with a custom function, would it send you back a Dunning custom function that it just scraped out of there?
It
along
might,
with
it
people's
might
credentials
modify
and
it.
everything?
It might cleanse it, remove the person's name who actually made. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, we
Be an
could do some
interesting
testing.
experiment.
Yeah.
Depends what kind of prompt you give it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can, for example, in the prompt, you can say, don't use recursion, or, so use a while loop. I saw that.
Or it can't be anything like the functions you find on this website.
One of the things that I hope from LLMs that bleeds over into real life is just better communicate. People can communicate with more context and what they're looking for. And I kind of think, well, maybe the AI is going to help us converse better in terms of setting what the context is, what we're looking for, or specifics, that kind of thing. Could help customers giving requirements to us and things like that.
Right. Yeah, if you get a customer that's pretty verbose, you could select it all and have it summarize this in this way. Or, of course, yeah, you have to check it over and such, but it's a powerful tool, no doubt.
Yeah, I heard a couple people mentioned in different ways that, think of this as, it's a toddler or an intern that is eager to help, but you have to give it a lot of information and a lot of, guardrails or examples, that it was interesting in some of the prompts that it would have not only your requirements, but then you would give it examples of, this is what I said, and this is what you said back to me, several instances of that. And it takes that and assumes that's our previous conversations. So I will follow that pattern. Yeah.
I understand the new version of ChatGPT, they said it's gonna remember for you. So you can sign in and log in, it's gonna remember previous conversations. So that will hopefully not be necessary in the future. Yeah.
Whether you want it to remember you or not.
Well, good. This has been a good discussion. I hope it was helpful to just kind of get a flavor of what the conference was like, and definitely download the videos and delve deeper into the things that interest you. It's a great way to learn. I have not seen them yet. No, they should be in the next week or two, I think. Yes.
Yeah, so I think to attendees, you get them earlier, and then other people, they'll release them as just for people who weren't there, we won't get them as early.
Yeah, there were also a lot of sessions that didn't have session materials on the website linked yet. So I haven't gone back and looked if any of those, they're sharing their slides or their demo files that they said was coming. There was one session I was in on script triggers, and it never really got to the advanced stuff. She spent a lot of time covering the basics, but I was hoping for the more meaty stuff, but maybe that's in her demo file, but she didn't have it ready yet.
Oh. Well, good. Well, thanks for joining in, and I think the pizza is supposed to be here soon, but 4 minutes and counting. So I mean, if you have any other questions or whatever, we certainly can. We haven't used the pizza app for a little while. We just decided to wing it. Yeah, just guess what people wanted, I guess.
We're using AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pizza GPT.
Were there a good number, were there any or a good number of sessions dealing with Claris Studio now that that's becoming a bit more mature? Because I'm kind of excited to see now that like views, it looks like all those views can be public. And so as you alluded to, Tim, it's moving beyond just being a form builder now. Right. So were there any sessions talking about
that one
I'm still unsure where Claris Studio fits into the architecture, all to be honest. And so I'd be interested to hear what their opinion, like where they plan on going with this. Because to me, as they expand it out, it almost looks like Claris Studio could almost be the front end builder, like is it like to replace kind of the aging layout editor in FileMaker.
Right. There will be the opportunity to utilize Claris Studio more and more as more capabilities arrive. And, you know, it's like, that's the idea, but the idea is not to remove or require that it's going to be the replacement completely for FileMaker. FileMaker is going to continue to be there. So.
Yeah, and they did stress a few times in the keynote that, you know, kind of reassuring people FileMaker is not going away.
Yes, it has its own icon that matches the other ones, so it's not going away.
They see Studio as, you know, maybe a place for people to get their foot in the door, and then once they realize they need, you know, more power, more customization, then
Right.
hey, we've got FileMaker too, and
Yeah, they did talk
go
about
find a developer.
a little bit about the go-to-market. I mean, the freemium version of FileMaker or of the platform is still on the docket. It's just that they've got to get all three of the products available at some level to all, and then they can expand to that. So they're kind of looking at a lot of first-time users in the future might be introduced to Claris Studio first, because it's all web-based. You don't have to download a client or anything like that. And then when they look for, when they're looking for the next level, you know, they could use FileMaker then, or, you know, be expanded to that and, you know, download the client and such. They were definitely more clear on the idea that they're aimed at pro developers, low code potentially, you know, like that, but they were not the message that has been there in the past that anyone can do this. And, you know, it's like you know, it's like, I think that it was a good thing to move away from that, because that it's a false promise. You can't just sit. I mean, it is probably one of the easiest development environments that exists to create an app just by creating a new from a template or whatever. But still, once you have to have some skills in order to actually build something that's going to run your entire company.
Yeah, right. Right. That's always, I've always viewed that as the double-edged sword of FileMaker, is that it allows non-developers to build their own application. And on the flip side, you are now using an application built by a non-developer. So enjoy.
Right.
Tim, I remember a quote from you. And you said, FileMaker is the easiest database in the world, but it's still a database.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, go ahead.
And Claris going with Apple, is there any talk of keeping it PC friendly?
Oh, it's FileMaker. Okay, all the web stuff is going to be, you know, all the studio stuff is on the web. All the Claris Connect stuff is on the web. So it's either platform. And FileMaker's long been, they have a Windows client and a Mac client for development. So that's going to continue.
Okay.
They're not going to get rid of that. There was some talk about, you know, they wish that server would all go Linux. You know, that's where they're starting first, and that's where their platform is going. But they are still supporting a Windows server and a Mac server as well. So that won't, I don't think that those things will change anytime soon. And so it will continue to be fully cross-platform.
Did they mention at all about FileMaker Go on Android at all, or is that still any plans for that at any point?
No one said anything about that. I don't think that's a thing. I think that their Android future is through Claris Studio. You know, it's a responsive web views.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The word Android was not mentioned anywhere that I heard. And the whole Android thing that
Yeah.
the last DevCon crashed and burned in flames, and like they changed the EULA, and basically it's never going to happen. From all signals from Claris is they're focused on Connect and Studio as their growth strategy, and Android is not part of their growth strategy.
Right.
Except that you can run those web apps on Android.
Well, good. Well, so our pizza's here, so we're gonna cut off the meeting at this point, but thanks so much for joining us, and I'll post this out on the blog afterwards. So if you want to share it with anyone else or whatever.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Session.
everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good day.